So as I said, whatever the questions you have, I request you to post it in the chat window, or just make a note of it and we can discuss at the end. Okay. And request every one of you to be on mute as well. So the agenda for today, as you can see on the screen, what is performance testing, the LoadRunner architecture, because I mean, this course is all about LoadRunner tool. So we will be discussing about the LoadRunner architecture and what are its components and what each component does. And then we do a small practical example of how to record and replay using Viogen, one of the component. And then we will discuss in detail about the course content. And finally, question and answers. Okay, I'm okay to extend the session and I know to answer to answer all the questions. Okay, so without any delay, let me start the session. Let me share the screen first. Okay, so before I explain what is performance testing, I would like to give a meaning for software testing. Okay, we would like to discuss something about software testing first. So in a software project, okay, or from software project perspective, you have something called software development lifecycle. Okay, so as part of that software development lifecycle, one of the phase is testing. That means you get the requirements, you design, you develop, and then you test it, and then you move to production, right? So testing is one of the phase in the entire software development lifecycle. So within the software testing, you have functional testing and non-functional testing. Okay, so functional testing is all about testing the functionality. Okay, so what do you mean by testing a functionality? For example, if I ask you to test a particular application for login, so what will you do? You launch the application. Okay, when I say application, any application. Okay, so you then enter username, password, probably a valid username, password, and then you log in. Okay, so in that way, you are checking whether the login is working fine or not. At the same time, you might also check with invalid credentials also. Okay, how is it responding with invalid credentials? That means the core point is all about testing the functionality. Okay, so when it comes to some of the functional testing tools, automation tools, okay, you have Selenium, UFT, no? It was earlier called as QTP. Now it is called as UFT. Okay, so you have some of these tools which are more popular and most widely used tools in the market. At the same point of time, you have something called non-functional testing. Within the non-functional testing, okay, which is all about testing the non-functional aspects like performance, security, etc. Okay, so what do you mean by performance? That means the performance testing is coming under non-functional testing. So the, what do you mean exactly by performance testing? So let's see the same login example. So as part of functional testing, so we were entering the username, password, and clicking on login button. Okay, and then we are validating if the user is able to log in or not. But that is a functional tester task. Now, from performance tester perspective, I'm not much concerned about the functionality because the functionality will always be tested by functional testers. Now, from performance testing perspective, I'm more interested in how fast the user is able to log in. See, I entered a username and password. Okay, so if let me open some application. Okay, any application, let me open. For example, let me open some Chrome browser or whatever it is. Okay, let me open a browser. Let me take any application. Let's take some sample application. Now here, I enter some username and password. Okay, now I click on login button. Now functional testing is all about validating the credentials. Okay, the credentials which I entered are valid, so the user is successfully logged in. Now coming to performance testing, I'm not much interested in the functionality part. Of course, that is very important, but my primary task is to know or analyze how fast the user is able to log in. So when I clicked on username password, how much time it has taken for the user to log in. Okay. It's not only about that. For example, if I click on some button, so left hand side you have 4 buttons. If I click on some button, so how fast this page is loading, how fast user is able to navigate from one page to another page. Okay, so that's I'm much interested in those aspects. Okay, the performance of the application. Okay, so that is a very high level understanding of where the performance testing work is coming from. Okay, now the most widely used tools in the market are LoadRunner and Jmeter. Okay, these two are the most widely used tools, LoadRunner, Jmeter. Of course, you have some other tools like Gatling, NeoLoad, but the majority share, okay, these two are occupying the majority share, LoadRunner and Jmeter. I mean, approximately like more than 80% of the uh, organizations, they go with LoadRunner and Jmeter. Okay, now that is about the non-functional testing. See, I'll give you one more generic example. Let's take a lift. Generally we all use lift services, right? From from going to other floor. Okay, let's say you're on the ground floor, you want to go to fourth floor. So you, if you have a lift service available, you can make use of it. Now if you think from functional testing perspective, so you are on the ground floor, you went inside went into the lift, and you press 4. Okay, 4, number 4. So when you press 4 button, okay, you are validating whether the lift is going to fourth floor or not. If you are pressing 4, if it is going to fifth floor, that's not correct, right? So that means you are testing the functionality of that button. So if you are pressing 4, it should go to fourth floor only. But when it comes to performance testing, when you press 4 button, how much time it is taking to go to fourth floor? How much time it is taking to go to fourth floor? Especially when you have some amount of load. What do you mean by load? A lift can have some maximum capacity. Let's say a lift can have a maximum 10 people. Okay, now when 10 people are inside the lift and you press 4 button, how much time it is taking to reach to fourth floor? Okay, so that is if testing the performance. So testing the performance with some load. Okay, same definition is applicable to web applications also. Same definition is applicable to web application. So I can write something like this: checking the, in generic terms, checking the performance of an application by applying some load, by applying load or some load, whatever it is. You can call it as a performance testing. Okay, without this load, you cannot call it as a performance testing. See, if there is a lift, only one person is traveling from ground floor to fourth floor. That doesn't make sense because the lift capacity is more, way beyond that. So the lift max capacity is 10. That means when 10 people are on board, how much time it is taking from ground floor to fourth floor is what you have to check. Okay, similarly for web application, if a single user is accessing any web application, you cannot determine the performance of that application. So that application should be tested concurrently by multiple users. How many users, who will decide? That we'll discuss later. But what is the main point? A single user determining the performance of an application, you cannot call it as a performance testing. Okay, multiple users should log in concurrently and perform some tasks on the application. That can be called as performance testing. Okay, so if you take an example of a banking application, so if you have a banking application, let's say bank application. So normally the customer facing bank application, what are the different tasks a customer can do? Like he can transfer money, he can pay credit card bill, download statement, they can do download statement. Okay, so all these are different workflows or different functionalities the users can do. So let's say if 100 people are accessing the bank application and performing these tasks concurrently, then that means then you can say, okay, I'm checking for the performance of an application. That means this is the load. If only one person is logging in and transferring money, you cannot determine the performance of it. There should be some amount of load that should be applied on the system. Okay, so checking the performance of an application by applying some load. So this should be your generic definition in simple words. Okay, we will refer or we'll discuss the textbook kind of definition in our upcoming session, but not required now. Okay, now one more important point. Now you can ask me, okay, sir, you are saying, when a user clicks a link or clicks a button, okay, ideally, it should, I mean, the user should navigate from one page to another page. Okay, how fast the user is navigating from one page to another page. If you want to check in that way, but what is the max amount of time that a user can navigate from one page to another page? It depends on the project, guys. But according to the industry standard, for any web application, if you click a link or if you click a button, okay, it should navigate to next page within 2 seconds. That is the industry standard. Whatever may be the application, if you take Amazon, Facebook, whatever the application you take, your own banking application, if you click a link or button, it should navigate to next page within 2 seconds. Okay, that is the industry standard. However, it can be 3 or 5 seconds, okay, depending on the project requirement. Let's say if the project architecture is too complex and the client agreed that client is okay to have some 5 seconds, okay, that is fine. But if you ask in general, it is 2 seconds. Okay, hope you understood. Hope you got some idea about what is performance testing. Okay, pretty straightforward. We are focusing on the performance, checking the performance of an application by applying some load. Okay, pretty straightforward generic definition. Now, why performance testing is important? Okay, we understood what is performance testing, but why performance testing? What happens if we don't, if the client or the product owner, if they don't go for performance testing, what could happen? If performance testing is not conducted, then applications might face problems like slowness. Yes, of course. Pages loading forever. Yes, of course. That means, you click a link and the page keeps on loading. It will load. It will keep on loading forever. Inconsistency and may further result in business loss. Definitely, it will result in business loss. See, you are using an application in mobile. Okay. Now you feel that it is responding slow. See, you can wait. I mean, you will see that for a day or 2 days or 3 days, or you can wait for some few days, like 1 week or 10 days. If the performance is not getting improved, definitely you will migrate or move to some other application which is providing similar features to you with good performance. Then what is happening here? The business, there is a business loss involved here. There is a direct business loss involved here. Okay, so performance is very, very, very important nowadays. Okay, in the current market, with the uh, what is that, with the level of patience we have, okay, we are not ready to wait for much time. Okay, if you click on a link or a button, if it is not going to next page, if it is hanging, if it is freezing, then you will immediately look for some other application which is providing similar features to you, yes or no? So that's the reason performance testing is given top priority, okay, in terms of importance. Okay, if performance testing is not done and if application performs poor, then it can incur direct business loss. Okay, see here, and one more thing is, the goal of performance testing is to find performance bottlenecks. See, bottlenecks is nothing but issues, performance issues. In performance testing terminology, we call it as bottleneck. Ideally, if you want to uh, you know call it in general, you can call it as performance issues. The goal of performance testing is to find performance issues rather than finding functional bugs. Okay, so that's very, very important. Why performance testing? Okay, to avoid application slowness, okay, which can result in customer dissatisfaction and can directly result in business loss financially. Okay, So that's the importance of performance testing. Hope you understood like what is performance testing and why performance testing. Okay, we have discussed in general. We haven't touched any textbook kind of definition yet. So hope you are good with performance testing. If you have any questions, right, just post it in the chat window. Okay, I can we can discuss immediately after after the demo session. So with that, we will move to LoadRunner architecture. So with respect to performance testing, we have many tools in the market like LoadRunner, Jmeter, Gatling, NeoLoad, and so on. As I said, most widely used tools are LoadRunner and Jmeter. Because this session is or this course is all about LoadRunner, I'm going to explain you about the LoadRunner architecture. Okay, so let me open that slide. I didn't open that slide, I guess. Let me check. Okay, let me open that slide. So LoadRunner is one of the most widely used tools in the market. Okay, so we will discuss. Okay, so this LoadRunner architecture, we will derive the architecture by discussing some questions first, or we will derive the architecture based out of some questions. So let's say you have a banking application or any application, in fact. Now, if you want to test this application with 500 users, okay, so I'm giving you a task to test the banking application with 500 users. That means 500 users should log in simultaneously and perform different tasks. Will you be able to bring 500 people and give them 500 laptops or desktops and ask them to log in simultaneously and perform some tasks? Is that possible? Definitely not possible. Or in worst case, let's say if it is possible, but it is directly related to the financial aspect. You have to bring 500 people, which is not a small thing. Oh, okay, let's say you brought 500 people. Now, what if I ask you to test this banking application with 5,000 people, which is definitely not possible. Okay, because you cannot bring 5,000 people and ask them to, ask them to, test with 500 laptops or something like that. No. So for that reason, in the load runner architecture, you have a component called load generator. So these load generators are highly configured machines, okay, which can simulate the virtual users for you. Okay, so instead of bringing the, you know, different different users, okay, physically, you can make use of this load generator component, which can simulate virtual users for you. So these virtual users will mimic the same human behavior, like they perform the same actions that a normal human do, like transferring money, paying credit card bill, downloading statement, whatever the action you want that particular user to do, the user will perform the same actions. Okay, so load generator, these are highly configured machines which will generate virtual users for you. Instead of bringing the real users and testing the application, okay, we are simulating the virtual users with the help of load generator. Okay, very, very important component. Okay, now let's say you have load generator ready. Okay, you have load generator ready. Now you have to, let's say you have to test the performance of a banking application. What will you test? What will you test from banking application? So you have to test different workflows or business processes. For example, for banking application, one of the important workflow is transfer money workflow, or you can call it as a functionality, you can call it as a scenario. Transfer money. Within transfer money, what are the different steps you have? Launch. First is you will launch the application. Next, you will log into the application. Next, you navigate to your account. Okay. Next, you select a beneficiary. You select a beneficiary. Next, you enter amount and let's say click transfer button. Then finally you log out because the transfer is done. So these are the steps that you are performing. These are the steps that you are performing. So if you want to test the performance of transfer money scenario or workflow, you have to execute these steps. That means every user should perform these steps. Launch, login, navigate to your account, select a beneficiary, enter amount and click transfer and log out. But how do the virtual users perform these steps? How do virtual users perform these steps? Okay, so there is a component called Viogen which will assist us in recording this particular flows, recording these kind of flows, and replay those flows as many times as possible. Okay, so the users, these virtual users, will go and replay or execute those scripts as many times as required. Okay, so what is the component that you need? The component that we are looking for is Viogen. Viogen is a component using which we will record or develop or generate a script for the workflow or a scenario. Okay, um, that's it. So this is purely related to development of a script or recording of a script or generating a script. Which script? The the workflows or scenarios given by client to us for testing. So if client is saying, hey, can you test the performance of transfer money with 500 users? Yes, I can test it, but for that I need to have the script ready. Why? Because that script should be run by 500 users, okay, concurrently. That's the reason. So Viogen is the component which will assist in developing the script. Okay, now you have load generator ready. Now you have script ready. Now you need to upload that script somewhere and trigger the execution. Okay, you just have to trigger the execution. So the component which is used to upload the script, trigger the execution, monitor the execution, that is called controller or performance center. Okay, so whatever the scripts you develop, those will be uploaded to controller. Okay, and here you will execute, you will trigger, you will not execute, rather you will trigger the execution and monitor how the execution is happening. Okay, so once you trigger the execution, what will happen? The scripts, whatever you uploaded to controller, will be transferred to load generator machine. Will be transferred to load generator machine. Okay, through agent process. There is something called agent process, which will act as a bridge between controller and load generator. Okay, which will act as a bridge between controller and load generator. So once you trigger the execution, all the files and everything, scripts and everything will be transferred to load generator, and the actual execution happens here. And the actual execution happens here, and the logs will be sent back to controller. All the logs, results, everything will be sent back to controller. Who is taking care of it? Agent process. It acts as a bridge between controller and load generator. Okay. Now you are done with execution. Now, what is the next step after execution? You have to analyze the results. How do you analyze the results? So there is a component called analysis, which will assist us in analyzing the results in detail. It will not only assist us in providing, it will not only assist us in understanding the results, it will it will provide detailed metrics with graphs. Okay, so to make the client understand that how the application has performed, okay, during the test. So the component analysis component is purely responsible for analyzing the results in detail. Okay, so these are the different components of LoadRunner architecture. Viogen, so load generator is for simulating the virtual users. Viogen is for developing the scripts for workflows or scenarios or functionalities. And once the scripts are ready, you have to upload it to controller, and there you trigger the execution. Okay, and then after the execution, you analyze the results through analysis component. Okay, so once you install LoadRunner, okay, in your machine, probably you will get this Viogen controller analysis, and agent process will anyways be there. Your laptop can act as load generator for you. Okay, so we will discuss this. We'll discuss that process in detail later on. Okay, installation we haven't seen, right? So we will discuss that later. So this is the architecture, LoadRunner architecture. So if you have any questions related to architecture, please make a note of it. Okay, we will discuss in some time from now. If you want, I can come back to the screen again, no problem. Okay, so this is about the LoadRunner architecture, guys. Very high level we have discussed. Okay, uh, so we can discuss again in detail in our upcoming sessions. So we are done with what is performance testing. We are done with LoadRunner architecture. Okay, then we will go with next step, that is sample recording and replay using Viogen. What is this step all about? So I told you, right? There is, there are some functionalities or workflows for which you need to develop the script, like transfer money and all those things. So what is the component that I have to launch now? Can anyone tell? Can anyone unmute and tell what is the component that I have to launch for recording the script or
Viogen,
generating the script or developing the script?
Viogen.
Exactly. So you have to, yes. So you have to launch Viogen, okay, to initiate the script recording or script generating process. So once you install LoadRunner, okay, basically in if you go to search and if you just type VUG and Viogen, okay, you'll get to see this icon. So just click on this and it will launch Viogen. Just wait for a few seconds, it will launch. Okay, now I have launched Viogen. Okay, now I want to record some flow. So I'm not going to record too many steps. Okay, so what I'm going to record is, there is a sample application which we discussed, right? This one. This sample application is provided by the Micro Focus only. Micro Focus is the owner or the vendor of uh, LoadRunner tool. So he's the product owner, Micro Focus. So Micro Focus has given this sample application for us for practice purpose. So this is the URL to launch. So I will tell you that process in our installation session, how to access this and all. So for now, what we are going to record is 3 steps. One is launch. The next step is login. The final step is logout. We will simply execute or develop scripts for 3 steps: launch, login, log off. So let's do it. So how do you do that? So here, first you go to, so this is the screen that you get to see as soon as you launch Viogen. So click on file. There are different menu options which we will discuss later on. So first we'll go to file and click on new script and solution. Okay. Here you have to choose the protocol. So we'll discuss this protocol again. But what I can tell you as of now is, for the web applications, okay, for all the web applications, you can go with web HTTP HTML protocol, this one. Okay, and here you have to give the script name, and here you have to give the script location. Where do you want to save? Let's say I want to create a new folder. Okay, so let's say I want to create a new folder for this batch. One second, let me create a new folder here. Okay, so I created a new folder, and in this folder, in this path, I'm creating a script called demo. This is a demo script which I will be recording to generate a code for launch, login, log off. Then click on create. Okay, let's not discuss anything other than that now. So just selected the protocol, given the script location, given the script name, click on create button. So once you click on create button, automatically This is the layout, default layout that you get to see. This is a blank script. Okay, this is a blank script, guys. Okay, so here this is the space or area where the code will get generated. So the generated code will be seen here. Okay, okay, you can modify, you can customize whatever you want to do. You have to do here in this screen, on this screen editor. On the left hand side, you have the solution explorer where you have different options. Like you have actions, you have global.h where you declare. I mean, you have actions where you record the flow, record the entire script. Then you have global.h file where you declare some global variables. Then you have runtime settings, like which will support the execution. Then you have parameters which will support the test data input. Like, if you want to run a particular flow with many users, and you want to pass different data or dynamic data to the script, so you can use parameters. Then this is recording report, which will come up after recording. We'll see that later. Then this is a replay summary report, which you get to see after replaying the script. Okay, we'll discuss all these options in detail later. Now, for recording those 3 steps, what I have to do? So I have to initiate the recording by clicking on this record icon here, or you can click on this record option in the menu bar. Okay, and then click on record, or you can directly hit Control plus R. You can directly hit Control plus R. So let me click on this record icon here. Okay, so when I click on record icon, it is giving me this pop-up window. Okay, so the first thing you can ignore. I will explain you in the next session. Now, probably after 1 or 2 sessions, I'll explain you in detail. So what it means is, we are in the action. Okay, the entire code, whatever we are recording, it will get generated into this action. This action. So okay, so there are other actions also, right? In it and okay, for currently we will record in action only. Okay, we'll discuss why in later sessions. Now here you have to choose the browser. Okay, you want to record something, some flow you want to record. How do you want to record? Which is the browser that you want to choose? Firefox, Edge, Chrome. You don't have IE. IE is deprecated or expired. It's no longer supported. Okay, with the latest versions of LoadRunner, it is no longer supported. You can either use Edge, Firefox, or Chrome. Let me choose any of the browser. Let's say Firefox. Then here you have to choose the URLs, or you have to provide the project or your application URL. Okay, there are different applications that you might work. For example, if you want to test Amazon.com, so you have to give Amazon.com. Okay, ideally you should not do, because that is not our application. You cannot directly record some third-party applications which are not authorized to record. Okay, so here we will give the application project URL, whatever you are going to test. So this is the sample application, whatever we are discussing, right? That sample application URL. So I provided here. Okay, then click on start recording. You have other options, we will discuss later. Okay, what you have to do, just choose the browser, give the URL, and click on start recording. Okay, just click on start recording. What happens when I click on start recording? When I click on start recording, this my Mozilla Firefox browser will be launched with this given URL. You got it? Mozilla Firefox will be launched with this given URL. If any existing Firefox browser is already open, then it will force you to close that pop-up, close that Firefox instance, and then it will automatically start a new instance where you will be allowed to perform the actions. So now currently I don't see any Mozilla Firefox existing or already opened, so no problem. Let me click on start recording. It will launch Mozilla Firefox now with the given URL. See, there you go. It is launching Firefox with some given URL. Okay, I can click on, let me Okay, let me click on not no. Okay, let me launch the application. It's not required, you see. So there you go. You see the application launched with the given URL. At the same time, you see there is a movable window here, which is very, very important for recording your flow. And you see some number which keeps on increasing. As you perform some actions on the UI, this number will keep on increasing. Okay, if it is increasing, it means it means that this tool is able to capture the traffic. That means for whatever the actions you are performing on the UI, this tool is able to capture the backend request, like what the request is going to server, which request is going to server. Okay, what is the response you are getting? So the entire traffic will be captured. Okay, so that means the tool is good enough to learn learn your application in simple words. Okay, the tool is good enough to learn your application. Now there are some other options as well, like stop recording, pause recording, cancel recording. Okay, then these three are different options, we'll discuss later, comment, checkpoints and all. But for now, what is important is these two. Okay, I'll repeat here, these two are important for now. This is insert start transaction, this is insert end transaction. Very, very important. Without using these two options, you cannot complete your script recording. Why it is important? Because I want to split my workflows into, I mean, based on the actions that I perform. For example, what is the next action I have to perform on the UI? Login. So I have to start a new transaction first and give a name to it, let's say login. And then go ahead and perform that action manually. And once I perform the action manually, and then come here and end that particular transaction, whatever you started. So in that way, you will be able to, I mean, in that way, the tool will be able to calculate how much time it is taking. Okay, for login. When you replay the script, the tool will be able to calculate how much time it is taking for login and so on. So what you have to do? First, you have to click on insert start transaction, this button, and give a name to it. What is the action that you are going to perform now? Login. Then press OK button here. Okay. Now go ahead and perform the action whatever you want to do. So I enter username, then I enter password, and I click on login button. Okay. Now the user logged in successfully. Now wait for 4 or 5 seconds, and at the same time check whether the page loaded completely. Then go ahead and click this option called insert end transaction. Which transaction you want to end? Login. Why? Because login is already done. That's the reason I want to end it here. Okay. Now what is the next step that I'm going to perform? Log out. So let me insert a new transaction, insert start transaction, give a name to it, log out. Okay, now go ahead and perform that action manually directly on the UI. So there is a sign off button on the left hand side menu options. So click on that sign off button. See, the user logged out. Now wait for 4 to 5 seconds and also check whether the page loaded completely or not. And then go ahead and stop log out. Sorry, go ahead and end logout transaction like this. Done. Now stop recording, because for the 3 steps, whatever you want to do, you have done. Now you stop recording. I clicked on stop recording. So it is generating the script for us. See, this is a recording report. We will discuss later, not required now. So I'm coming to action again. So here you see this is a script which got generated. How many lines? Approximately 50 lines. Okay. Now if you observe carefully, line number 16, it says LR underscore start underscore transaction login. So what is this line referring to? If you remember just few minutes ago, when I launched the application, first I clicked on insert start transaction and I have given a name to it called login. So that means whenever I started a insert new transaction, this piece of code got generated. Then what did I do? I performed the login action manually on the UI. That means I entered username, password, and clicked on login button. For that, this piece of code got generated. Here, if you want, you can check. This is a username I passed. This is a password I passed. Okay, so this piece of code is related to login. And then you see LR end transaction login. That means this is the end of login. How it is getting generated? So you started a new transaction, and then you inserted a start transaction, and then you ended it, right? Insert end transaction. Okay, this piece of code generated because you inserted end transaction. So start transaction, then you have the login request, then you have end transaction. Similarly, if you see the subsequent request, LR start transaction logout, then you have a request for logout. Okay, this request got generated just because you clicked on sign off button. Okay, and then you have LR end transaction logout. It is ending here. Starting, request, ending. This is for logout. Then scroll up little bit. This is for login. Observe carefully. Then scroll little bit up, scroll up vertically. Then you see you have one more request here. Can anyone unmute and tell what is this request all about?
I think web page
Can I,
URL.
yeah, it is web page URL, but in general, if what is this request? What is this code all about? Anyone? Simple. See why there is no start transaction, nor there is no end transaction for this. It is a simple individual request here. So what is that referring to? Can anyone guess?
Is it the security certificates for the website?
No. It see this. What is the subsequent request? Login. So what should be before login?
Launch
Page should be ready.
Launch
This
page.
launch.
page. Oh, launch
That means
page.
you are
Okay.
launching the application, right? Before logging in, see, before logout, you have logged in. Before logging in, what did you do? You launched the application. But observe one thing: for this launch request, you don't have a start transaction here, nor you don't have an end transaction here. Why? The reason behind that is when you clicked on record button here, okay, and here you see when you clicked on start recording, directly it launched this URL with this browser. After launching the browser only, there was a movable window where I have an option to insert start transaction and insert end transaction. So before that itself, the application was launched. So I didn't get a chance to insert a start transaction and end transaction there. However, I can do it manually. See, like this. I can write on my own LR underscore start underscore transaction. What is this transaction that I want to start? Everything in small letters, guys. Okay. So what is the transaction that I'm going to start? Within double quotes, you have to give the transaction name. Let's say I'm giving launch. Now, where should I write LR underscore end transaction? Can anyone tell the line number? Where can I write LR underscore end transaction?
17.
Of course, after 16, you can write wherever you want. Okay. So LR underscore, I mean, wherever you want, since before login. So LR underscore end underscore transaction. So this is ending the particular login transaction, guys. Sorry, launch transaction. So here, whatever the name you have given here in the launch start transaction, same name you have to give here. Okay, so whatever the name you have given here, the same name should go here, including uh, lowercase and uppercase letters. Okay, so this is case sensitive, guys. Now you see, you have launch, you have login, and you have logout. Perfect. Now the script is recorded. Now I want to replay this now. Okay, and I want to derive what I want to get, what I want to actually know. We will see. So let me run this. Let me replay this. How? So you have a run button over here. Okay, in the menu options itself, you have a run button. So or replay button, you can call it as. Alternatively, you can use F5 on your keyboard. So if you click on that run button or replay button, it will run and it will give you how much time it has taken for launch, how much time it has taken for login, how much time it has taken for log off. See, I just clicked on replay. Okay, 1 second, there is some compilation error. Let me check line number 18. It is showing compilation error. Okay, 1 second. So I forgot to write. There is one more additional thing that you have to write here in end transaction, which I forgot. No problem. So now I'm going to run replay now. Okay, so when I replay, I'm going to teach you everything in detail. What is LR auto and all those things. This is just a demo session, guys. Okay, so now I replayed the script, and you see the script passed. Here you can see what exactly it has provided. It has given to us. Launch has, it says launch has taken 0.68 seconds, login has taken 0.28 seconds, logout has taken 0.48 seconds. So these are the transactions which we have inserted. So how it is calculating these numbers? Based on where you started, where you ended. So I inserted a start transaction, then I performed some action on the UI, then I ended it. So based on where you started, where you ended, these transactions, okay, it is giving you the response times. These are called response times, guys. How much time it has taken for launch, how much time it has taken for login, all this stuff. So this is how the tool is going to assist us in knowing if something is going wrong right away. Okay, so we have just replayed this script for one user. We didn't replay this for 100 users or 1000 users. Did we replay this with 1000 users anywhere or 100 users anywhere? No, we have just replayed this script with one user, and for one user it is giving us these numbers. Okay, so remaining everything we'll discuss later. So our priority is to understand how to record and replay the script. So I hope you got a very good idea about how to record a flow, workflow, and how to replay it. Okay, so with that, this particular third point is also done. Okay, so I hope by now you got a good amount of clarity, okay, with respect to what we are going to cover in this course, or what we are going to learn. Okay, or what is this tool all about, what is performance testing all about. So without any further delay, let me move to course content, and after that I can take all the question answers. So let me go to a slide where I have the course content. So this is LoadRunner basic to advanced course content, guys. Okay, so it covers with the basic content to the advanced level. When I say advanced level, the advanced scripting level, okay, and some of the bonus topics also. So here the course begins with architecture basics, introduction to PT, performance testing life cycle. Okay, so you have some good important concepts like proof of concept, non-functional requirements, test plan, workload modeling. Very important concepts. Okay, definite interview questions from these. These are all mostly document based. These are all document based concepts. Okay, now after that you have introduction to LoadRunner, then installation, components, record and replay, features of Viogen. Okay, and then you have best scripting practices in Viogen. Okay, then you have runtime settings. You just saw that option in the script, right on the left hand side, solution explorer. You have runtime settings. These runtime settings assist you in replaying the script. Without these runtime settings, probably you might not execute, your script might not get executed properly. Okay, so and then you have a few recording options. Okay, so HTML versus URL based recording, very important. Then you have checkpoints. Checkpoints are nothing but kind of assertions. Like let's say you are navigating from one page to another page. You just want to put an assertion just to confirm that you are navigating to the right page, or you got a right response for whatever the request you sent. Okay, then once again, very important point here, introduction to C language. Most of the participants ask me a common question: so do we need coding to learn this tool? How, if yes, how much of coding is required? For the first question, the answer is yes, you need coding, okay, to customize the scripts. It's not about recording and replay. There might be a situation where where you might have to customize your code according to the requirement. So the C language is the supporting language what we will be using to customize our code according to the requirement. So how much of C language is required? Only basics, the very basics is required. Hardly it will take few hours to learn, like 2 3 3 4 hours to learn. Okay, even though if you are coming from a non-IT background, I can assure you that okay, you can definitely learn it in couple of days. Okay, so because the C language sessions are the basic C language sessions are explained in detail. Okay, so that the sessions will help us in customizing the code in later in our in advanced topics, I mean advanced sessions. Okay, so 95% you need not customize, 5% of customization is required, because using C language we will implement it. Okay, so you see the very basics: variables, data types, if statements, loops and conditions, select case statements, functions. Very basics. We are not even going to discuss arrays or arrays or pointers and all those things, not required. Okay, actually it supports JavaScript also, but we will prefer C language. There is a reason behind it. We will discuss that in our upcoming sessions. Okay, or else I'll answer in that in Q&A part. Then you have, I mean, some important some C language and LoadRunner inbuilt functions to be learned, which will assist us in customizing the script again, customizing the script. Couple of important advanced C language sessions concept I want to add. That is, how do you read data from a file? Let's say you have a notepad where you have some data. How do you read data? Let's say you want to write some data to it. Okay, how do you write data? So that is what we will discuss, and we'll also discuss some real-time challenges in scripting. Okay, then very important concept called correlation. This correlation concept is not specifically for LoadRunner. It is a common concept across other tools also. Like in Jmeter also you have the same concept. Okay, same concept. Okay, so very important. This concept we will cover for 3 to 4 days. Then you have parameterization. Parameterization is all about passing different test data, okay, to the script. So we will discuss for 3 days. This parameterization concept we will discuss for 3 days. Then we will discuss controller. That means a component where you upload the scripts and trigger the execution. Configure different types of tests like load test, endurance test, stress testing, volume testing, spike testing, whatever you want. What are different types of performance testing we have? You can configure it. Okay. Then you can at the same time you can monitor also. Then you have analysis. This component we will discuss the analysis part in detail. Okay, like how scripting and execution is important, analysis is equally important, because based on your analysis only the client will decide, okay, whether the application is performing well or not performing well, whether to go ahead and deploy in production, whether to go live or not.